Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, we're back at Modern Day Marine. I'm here with William.
Howdy.
And we're here with repeat offender and friend of the show, Colonel Tim Hough. Sir, how you doing?
Good. I appreciate you having me. I'm starting to become a home.
Yeah. This is great. And so, for those who haven't tuned in to the past, I guess this is your third visit to the show. Can you just give us a little bit? You're the program manager for Advanced Amphibious Assault. You're here peddling your wares and making sure everybody's on board for advanced expedition, advanced basing, and service connectors.
Yeah, so I'm not so much peddling my wares. BAE, who makes the ACV, is peddling our wares. I'm here certainly to promote the ACV and certainly the capability it provides to the Marine Corps in that its support is to the 7 MEUs, 7 standing MEUs for the Marine Corps. Certainly we see a future in Force Design 2030 as assault amphibian, service connectors to enable, occupation of expeditionary advanced bases. So while not specifically designed for that, because the requirement was generated really before Force Design, it's built for the 7 standing MEUs. We do see a future for that, given the capability and the flexibility it provides to a commander. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about, stand-in forces alone and completely afraid, having a capability such as an ACV obviously not only brings a little ass to the fight, but also gives you a way out so that it's not you're not dying in place.
Well, and this Vic, and you both know it, is that the beauty of the Marine Corps is the ability to be self-sustaining, right? And so that ability, to your point, of being able to deploy from ship in the middle of the night, go prosecute operations, or loiter as a force in place, and then ultimately extract out back to naval shipping in order to go prosecute operations otherwise. That makes the beauty of the Marine Corps, and that's why we're so flexible. As I mentioned earlier, I think the ACV certainly provides a huge capability to enable that.
Absolutely. And you're speaking completely unbiased as an acquisition professional, but
Absolutely.
Totally biased as
as an amp tracker. Yeah. So as we've talked about in previous podcasts, my background is assault amphibian vehicle officer, platoon commander, company commander, and briefly as an OPSO for a battalion before I jumped into this. So a lot. This is the culmination, I think, for me personally in my career. One, I never thought I'd get to this point as an acquisition officer. This is. We built the MOS to be an ACAT-1 program manager, and so this is kind of the culmination of now 15 years of acquisition experience to become an ACAT-1 program manager about 2 years ago. But as an amp tracker, it really is an opportunity for me to help shape and influence a community that I, really was formative for me in the first 11 years of my career. In that, as a platoon commander, and just a way really to give back to all the Marines that I was able to serve with, Marines that unfortunately didn't come home from Iraq, and do better for them so that we're providing a better product than what they had.
Yeah, absolutely. We just had Colonel Rob Bailey on earlier. We're just sort of talking about that paradigm shift, but really it's a mentality shift of, us dinosaurs doing more with less, growing where you're planted. Really, you still have that diesel and saltwater smell in your skin, but we shouldn't have to work quite so hard to do what we were doing, right?
No, I agree. I think oftentimes, look, in the budgetary fights in Congress, often those who can show relevance at a cost that's less than,
fiscally responsible.
Responsible generally will be able to meet their aims. And so I think for a long time we've always sold we could do more with less. And sometimes that's created a lot of challenges. There's goodness and badness, right? I'll start with the badness is sometimes we shortchange ourselves, right? We do have to work harder. But also I think it creates innovation, right? Like when you don't have everything, innovation is born out of necessity.
Necessity, yep.
Right? And so was that innovation is the mother of all necessity, or whatever that quote is. But yeah, I agree with you. We shouldn't have to work so hard. But sometimes that's born out of a need to remain relevant at a fiscally responsible price point. Yeah. So, but again, like I said, with that comes innovation. And I think, as we all know, I mean, that's what Marines do best, is we adapt and we innovate any way we can. That's just kind of the lifeblood of who we are. So.
Yeah, though I would tell you, the walking over here, obviously the BAE areas not too far away. They got two of the ACVs on display. One with the unmanned turret, which looks freaking awesome. And I know we were when I was still in uniform, we were looking at a lot of that over at the Nevada Automotive Test Center. What I think it was a Coensburg they were working with.
Still working with them.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, really exciting stuff. So I guess what are some of your impressions as a program manager being here at Modern Day Marines? Pretty sweet deal. I mean, you're a pretty popular guy.
It's hard to. Well, I've been doing this for so long, and to be honest with you, this is such a niche and small market space. You get to really know a lot of people here. And so it is fun to walk through and see people What I've come to realize as I've grown up in this MOS is how important these are, right? How important it is to engage with our industry partners. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, but it really is, right? So their success is our success, and our success is their success. And I go back to that relevance, right? If we're successful as a service, that creates relevance, which then enables them to be successful.
Right.
So it's great to be here. It's great to see all the capability that they're providing. I think as each commodity area, each program manager needs to devise to help industry, right? Because look, at the end of the day, industry develops where they think the service is going. Mm-hmm. And they get our guiding documents. But what could help them a little bit from our program management standpoint is giving them kind of a roadmap, right? Like, here's where we see our modernization roadmap or strategy going over the next 10, 15, 20 years, whether you're the PM of AAA, whether you're, take Colonel Bailey, where he's at with digital, give them that roadmap so they can start investing and making realistic business decisions on where they want to get involved in. One of the things we hear a lot about as acquisition officers is, well, we're not going fast enough. And often folks want technology and technological breakthroughs right now. But unfortunately, you can't schedule innovation. It just doesn't happen. And if you pull a cake out of the oven before it's ready, you're going to get something that's not consumable. And so what we need to do better is give them that roadmap at a more granular level that's appropriate, so that we're not trying to react and get technology quicker. Rather, we can start baking that cake earlier on and maturing that technology so that when we do need it, it's not we think we'll have it in 4 or 5 years. It's, hey, we've been working this a long time. We think we can get it done here in 2 years. And on the other side of that, as an institution, if we have this roadmap and in concert with our requirements folks, everybody's bought off on that. If we make fiscal decisions to align, if the institution or the service makes financial decisions to go elsewhere where the priority is higher, we can then give them a risk-based, outcome. Like, hey, look, if we don't invest here on this technology that we've been maturing, it's going to push that technology out a year later than when we really wanted it. And then decision makers can then, say, okay, we're willing to assume that risk right now, or no, we're not willing to assume that risk. So just to kind of wrap up that long-winded kind of answer there is that we need to give industry kind of a little bit more granular level modernization strategy by commodity so that they can start looking at investing.
Right.
And then give them, when do we conceivably think this we would need something like that. So coming here and being able to sit with them and engage with them on that type of dialogue, I think is important. And I think it's good, it's good for them to be here. And more importantly, I don't know if you're up there with the comment, this is also a good opportunity for our congressional staffers and representatives, if they can cut out, but really the staffers, to come through here and see what is it that where is the Marine Corps going?
Right.
I mean, you can walk around here and you can see all the different UAVs, right? You see a lot of UAVs around here, loitering munitions, signature management. So that's the way the world's going with respect to the character of war. And so that's what I think you'll see represented here most. So.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I mean, let's just fully bake the metaphor of the cake here. is that too we understand that when you go to a birthday party and you get the small piece of cake,
right?
It's sort of the same thing as acquisitions. Like, it looks good and it's gonna taste good right now.
Right.
But if you don't work that life cycle management, if you don't understand, like, just because we maybe can field it rapidly doesn't mean you're gonna keep it a very long time. Or as soon as it breaks, that's it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, it does take time to work all that in, right?
No, and you're absolutely right. And I think, look, there's a difference between fielding something rapidly and then, to your point, having that cake fully baked, right? So you could certainly push push capability out, but if you don't have the sustainment plan, right, ready, then certainly you're going to incur a lot of challenges, and unfortunately, it's on the backs of Marines who are trying to use the equipment. Now, that's not to say anytime we introduce a big platform, you're going to experience some challenges, right? Like, I think we've said this in the past. You give a Marine a bowling ball, he's going to give you 2 back, right? and so they'll find a way to break that thing. And if they don't have a way to glue that thing back together to keep using it, then it's worthless to them. So, but there are challenges when because Marines are going to employ it and create new ways to employ it that we didn't predict. And so if we don't have a way to rapidly pivot and be able to sustain that, then you're going to experience readiness challenges for the Marines out in the fleet. And then so as program managers, we need to have that sustainment plan ready to go, how we're going to maintain it, at what appropriate levels it's going to maintain, and then, be able to meet the demand once it's in there. I think one of the things we do as, what I've learned is we need to figure out a way to, as soon as it's fielded, that sustainment package, that sustainment plan is already matured until we can get the institution up and running. So one way, like, for example, we buy lots of parts, right? Initial issue for provisioning. So not to geek out a little bit on acquisitions, but we just buy like a set of parts, right? Based on what we've seen in testing, and then we give that to the fleet to use, and it will buy that over time until DLA can start, buying parts for us, for the institution, based upon what Marines' needs are. Oftentimes that gets exhausted quicker than you anticipated because Marines are finding new ways to operate it and going through those parts quicker. So, one way is you could do contractor logistics support to where, you incentivize them to maintain a certain amount of readiness for those vehicles until the Marine Corps can get up and, their maintainer MOS is ready to, the maintainers are ready to go to fix the vehicles. The operators are ready to operate the vehicles in a way that we see fit. And then ultimately we have the supply chain matured to enable that readiness level. So it should be a handoff. That costs money though, right?
Yeah,
and sometimes, again, go back to you have to sell a program. And the way to sell a program is I can do X with X. And if you come in with a balloon cost, sometimes the challenge is you're not going to see the light of day. So.
Yeah, and then I guess also thinking then, just talking about costs and how sort of maintaining that appetite, again, the baking analogy, is when you're talking about, getting staffers and representatives here, civilian leadership outside of the DOD to sort of understand our vision, get on board with where the Marine Corps is going. That also... on the backside of that is cost, right? Like, to go back to what you're saying is if everything we propose has a massive price tag to it, that appetite's going to sort of go away.
Right.
But yet, when you talk to the Marines, they want the coolest shit that's out there.
So,
how do you work that sort of? Where's the push-pull for that?
Starts with your old job when you were on active duty. Is really we need to get the requirements right, and that's born out of both analysis and then also just working with the fleet. Like, what is it you need? But then there needs to be a recognition that we're not going to get the latest and greatest sometimes because we just can't afford it, right? Like, we are not the only service in the DoD,
right?
And we have to certainly we are provided a budget every year, and we got to figure out how to make it work, right? And that is baked into what are the priorities for the service, and then they go after that. So that push-pull really is, this is our plan. If that doesn't work out, here is the branch plan, and we're going to align it to those priorities. And then really just constant dialogue with the fleet, saying, hey, this is what we're getting, and this is what we're targeting, and here's when we're going to, and just be honest and upfront with them on that. I think, look, Marines, I think anytime they can get new kit, as long as it works and it enables them to be more lethal and capable, they're going to make it happen.
Yeah, excited about it,
Hell, we used to use MRE sleeves to do sketch cards, right?
Yeah, about to say, half of my fire plant sketches were on the back of MRE boxes.
That's right.
Well, then, how then do you balance? Another balancing act is like incentivizing industry, right? Because we talk about competing interests for talent. Yeah. But there's also competing interests for dollars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if industry can look at the civilian sector and provide a similar capability for a higher cost, right? Like, is that a thing? Is that something we lose out on, or do we sort of fit into a niche market that really only we can provide?
So I don't want to act like I've been in industry, but I've certainly been around it enough. Look, and I think I've said this before, and I'll quote someone else, it's not about money, it's all about the money. And this is not to say there's not patriotic folks in our industrial base, but I think oftentimes in some of these commodities, in your big platforms, you can't, that's a niche market, right? You're only going to sell to the DoD, right? Some of these UAVs you might be able to sell to, whether it be Department of Interior or firefighting agency, something like that, right?
HMS or something,
right. That's where these companies are brilliant, is they figure out how to diversify that portfolio, right? And that's what I think makes successful companies is, hey, we're going to diversify. While it may be born in the DoD, in the defense industrial base, we have found something else out in the civilian sector that we can then take over here and sell over here. Because look, DoD budgets are boom and bust, right? You never know. It's often a kind of a sinusoidal wave sometimes. And so industry has to be able to hedge against, some of those decrements in their revenue stream. And if they can do that by diversifying with the civilian market, they'll do it. Now, certainly, they're going to try to sell to a civilian sector where they can make money, right? They're in the business of making money and meeting the demands of their shareholders. If they can do that through diversification, that's where it's at. But a lot of these systems here certainly are DoD specific. Yeah, that's a niche market, and but some of these other ones, certainly. Whether it's the packs that we sell, they can go out and sell those on the civilian market as mountain backpacking backpacks, right? Sure. So some of our weapon systems, whether it be pistols or rifles, a lot of times they'll market to the defense industrial base and then go to the civilian market and say, hey, look, used by
this is Marine Corps,
United States Marines, because there is a market for people that say, hey, I was a Marine. I want to use what the Marines are using. And that's a great way for them to diversify out there. Yeah. So, certainly –
but I mean, as far as like diversification, but what about exclusion? Like, hey, the Marine Corps acquisition process, even the DoD acquisition process, is just too cumbersome. Yeah. Are we seeing that at all, or
some companies choose not to? Yeah. Right, because they see it. It's too uncertain. Right. It's too uncertain as to. If
sort of this laborious process,
of the budget process, and then that too, right? So there's a couple different things, right? So it can be a complex process, and if you're not used to that, and this is why I think it's difficult sometimes for small companies to get involved into DoD business. It's sometimes can be a very difficult environment and very confusing environment to navigate. Now, we have a small business office set up to help enable that, but also we have some kind of tips and tricks that we call OTAs, other transactional authorities, that help you go faster. But what it does is it helps you reach out to these non-traditional companies. So, for example, we're building a driver trainer. And one of the companies that we down selected to is called Virtual Training. And these guys build arcade games for Dave & Buster's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right? And one of the guys that works on building out the surf zone that Marines will see in a virtual reality headset, if we choose that, is he did the CGI for Life of Pi, the movie Life of Pi.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, cool. And they're using a gaming engine, Unreal, that was just developed like 4 months ago or something like that, right? And so the beauty of like these different opportunities to try to pull them in is you can get some really novel, like these guys are just, and they're all in. And what I love about small businesses is they're so flexible and agile and be able to pivot. And that's not a knock on big industry, but I think often we all know when you have a small group of people, they're able to pivot and flex a little bit quicker than some of the bigger ones. So, but back to your point, some companies just don't get involved because it's just it's too complex, it's too hard, and sometimes the margins are too low. Because the thing that we do in DoD and government is we try to foster competition because we want to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, right? We don't want to overpay if we don't have to. So we try to foster competition to drive down cost, and sometimes that comes at the cost of comes at the expense of margins on revenue for these big businesses or for little businesses, right? So.
Sure.
And that's another reason why they go out to the civilian market, right? So the margins are a little bit lower here, and they'll go out to the civilian market where they can make up that delta.
Yeah,
so it's just business, right? That's the way
it is.
Yeah, so you've mentioned how, congressional staffers, government at large can use this, how businesses can. How do you recommend your average either Marine enlisted or officer who comes into modern day Marine, how can they use this as a learning opportunity to maximize the time that they are here?
Yeah, I think a good thing to do is certainly, read our force design. I mean, I'm hoping they've all read, our guiding documents, right? The annual update for force design, certainly the base document, talent management 2030.
All the Gazette articles on it, of course.
Yes, all the Gazette articles on it, absolutely. And I know we're joking, but you're absolutely right, right? And then when you walk in here, go, okay, where is it the Marine Corps is going, and what is it that I'm interested in? And then let me go talk to these people about what their thoughts are on where technology is going and how do they see technology going. And then just have a dialogue. Hey, I'm a Marine. I think this is the way technology should be used. This is the way I think we're going to be fighting. And that benefits industry, too, because they love – I mean, look, the best spokesman is not a program manager. It's not me. It's not any of the other programs. It's a Marine who's going to be using it. Because they're the ones that are going to they're going to bear the burden of mistakes or be the receivers of successes, right? So having that dialogue with industry is worth its weight in gold for a lot of these companies out here. So for a Marine who wants to come here, I would say, hey, look, understand where the Marine Corps is going. What are you interested in? And then if you're not smart on it, go get smart on it and just go have a conversation. So, but be targeted what you want to go see initially, and then have some time in there just to wander, right? Because you could spend 2 days in here and not get through half of this because you could just sit there and talk to folks and get caught up and start having really good conversations. But I would say target what you want to learn about and then spend some time just wandering and picking up the swag.
Definitely all the swag booths. I see a couple Marines over there with their bags already.
Oh, yeah, trying to get some free sunglasses.
Nice. Sunglasses,
right?
yeah, for sure.
DSS, they don't give a lot of free sunglasses out.
They get stickers. They get some stickers out of it. Well, Colonel Hough, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Wait, so you have a speaking engagement today?
I do at 1400. Just give an update on the ACV. If you don't mind, I can just give you a quick one right now.
Please, go for it.
I know we've talked the past couple of years about the ACV, kind of where we're at. What I'll tell you right now, because I think I haven't been on for
it's been a minute. Yeah, we were doing Amphibiosity.
Yeah. So where we're at now, and go back to what I mentioned earlier about, you introduce a new platform. And Vic, you know this well, right? We spent 50 years in a analog armored Winnebago, right? Tracked analog armored Winnebago, and we've fielded now 139 digital 8-wheeled assault amphibian. And so what we are doing now is what we realized is we need to go back to the drawing board and give more time for Marines to build proficiency. to enable them to use the vehicle safely. And certainly we've seen some of that going through the surf zone, but just globally, whether throughout.
Well, I mean, that was the mantra when we were coming out of the long war was, hey, get back to core competencies. So that's, I mean, that's.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at, right?
Yeah.
For 2 decades, we have not been doing a lot of amphibious ops. We have not done a lot of, remember when you and I were young lieutenants, the MEU was it, right?
Yeah, those are the meat eaters,
Yeah, and so we're back to those days now, and so we just need to get Marines back into the amphibious environment, and so we're building that proficiency, not solely PMAAA. We're enabling that. And just to give you an update on that, we've lengthened our new equipment training to provide more time to build that base proficiency on how to operate and maintain the vehicle. And then also, we've really kind of pushed towards more of an aviation construct within the AA community. And, I like to make the comment that we do 2 things that are dangerous in the Marine Corps. That's fly aircraft and amphibious operations. And we've treated one like a motor T asset for a little while, right? And we've just always kind of got it done. So we are moving more towards an aviation-type mentality within the AA community to where we will have, in order to be able to operate the vehicle, you have to be certified. And then annually, you'll be certified on your ability to do specific, tasks. And then if you come back from like an SDA billet or some time away, you'll have to be certified again and go through the simulator before you can just go jump on a vehicle. The old days of, hey, checked in, hey, your platoon's out in the field, go meet them.
Yeah.
I think we've all accepted that we need to do better for our Marines.
Yeah, you get your driver's license when you leave school, and then that's the last time you see anything
Exactly. So be more disciplined and be more methodical in making sure Marines are proficient in the operation of the vehicle.
Reset training, man, that's huge. That's such a good deal.
So we're doing that. The TTU transition, the training transition unit has stood up. Colonel Chip Hall is leading that. I don't remember him.
Oh, yeah, he was my CO for
so he stood that up. That will transition over to the schoolhouse, and then ultimately, still working out the long-term path here with the TTU, whether they become kind of like a MOT-style unit that goes to each battalion to make sure there's commonality in training on each coast.
And are you guys overseeing that from the PM office?
We are not. Okay. No, that's a training and education command effort, right? We are enabling it through sharing both our POIs with the TTU and the schoolhouse. And there's a lot of just cross-pollination between the 3 organizations to make sure we're all teaching the same thing. Additionally, the NET team is arguably the most proficient group of individuals right now on how to operate the ACV.
And that's new equipment.
New equipment training team, right. They belong to PMAAA. We've given them a lot of our active duty Marines and some of our support contractors to help stand up the TTU and enable standing up the schoolhouse. So that's one piece is improving proficiency, increasing proficiency, while improving readiness, and that's what falls in our wheelhouse. So we're doing that by maturing supply chain and then transitioning over to DLA, as well as we're also doing testing to really understand the core characteristics and performance of the ACV in the surf zone. So we've been doing a bunch of testing out at Aberdeen Test Center, and then also we're doing high surf testing with AVTB, and we'll be going up to Oregon in the fall to do some more high surf testing.
Did hit Mavericks on your way up?
Yeah, right. I wish. No, it's beyond the limitations of both myself and the vehicle. But yeah, we'll be going up to Oregon to do some high surf testing in that 6 foot, or really 4 to 6 foot significant breaker height.
Yeah.
So we understand really like what is the performance of the vehicle, so that we can arm Marines with that and make sure they're proficient when they're going through that height of wave. Right now we're at 4 feet and below. Which I think is good. We've lost an institutional, really a generational knowledge base.
Absolutely.
And your smartest people on the ACV are really lieutenants and below at this point.
Well, when I was in Abu Hayat, we had first attached with 2nd Marines.
Yeah.
We were the first, I think, in 18 months in Anbar to operate with AAVs, just AAVs on land.
Yeah.
In country. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And we're seeing that now, where, just doing a surop, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot of young Marines have done that, and a lot of our senior Marines are starting to age out. So there's that knowledge gap there.
Yeah.
We're certainly going after some technology. We're working quickly on SUROB technology, to where, the old days of filling a Gatorade bottle and throwing it in there.
Away?
Yeah,
I gotta warm
we're
up
going to try to get away from that. I think, for the next few years, we'll continue doing that. I think it'll be, we're trying
that's
to get,
an exact science.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we don't want is, early, for the next couple of years, Marines are going to do SUROBs, but it'll be supported by a decision support tool that can,
right.
analyze it through with radar or passive sensors. But ultimately, at some point, I see that transitioning to we just rely on the system and then maybe back it up with human SUROBs until we're comfortable with the system, right? So we need to do better for Marines, right? Throwing a Gatorade bottle and counting 100 waves is we need to do better.
Although hilarious.
Right, we've been doing it for 70 years, but we could do better. So we're really getting after that in concert with McWill. We're also developing the driver trainer. We're going to have 75 prototypes here next year. And so that will be expeditionary, so Marines can go out on the MEU and practice transiting the surf zone with the ultimate goal that you could scale that to the whole crew working together. And then the Commandant's vision is you create the surf zone for all the major beaches we could foresee us in the world landing at, and then Marines could practice that before
that's amazing.
Actual, before game day. Right now, they may not have the actual surf that they would see, but they know the beach. They can practice it and do those reps and sets before even launching out of the well
visible
deck.
recognition of terrain features, and man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
because I was going to say, it seems like between the let's increase core competencies at the individual Marine level.
Yeah.
Let's work on the the sort of institutional, but that third aspect of we're also fielding new stuff because we're talking ACV 30, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, all these three things kind of have to happen in harmony. Right?
Yeah. So the challenge with this program office is we're doing everything at the same time, right? We're trying to improve readiness, trying to improve sustainment. We're trying to introduce technology to help build proficiency. We're designing and developing the ACV 30 and the ACVR, and we're producing the ACVP and the ACVC all at the same time. And it's a challenge. I'm telling you, but I'm fortunate as a program manager. The team that we have in PMAAA is. It is eye-watering, and I'm not saying this because I'm on a podcast. I've told the PMO this, is that it's eye-watering to see people come in every day and just grind because of a love of their job and wanting to do right for Marines. And when I'm fighting my way through 95 North to get to my office, it really is a pleasure to work with a lot of the folks in PMAAA, because everybody's just rowing as hard as they can to do all of these things to meet the needs of the Marines that are gonna do what we ask them in support of national defense. So,
Well, that's really great. I mean, because I'm out of uniform now, I'll go ahead and say it. I mean, this is a service-defining capability.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate how much passion that you guys do have for this, because we're talking. Obviously, a lot of folks get pretty prickly when you start talking about divestments of things, and yes, we can point the finger at a lot of expectations from leadership, possibly unrealistic expectations of senior leadership on what it's going to be like to field these new capabilities with a atrophied core competency level of an analog system.
Right.
So this sort of unrealistic expectation, but I do not want that to become the flavor. Again, we're talking baking. That the taste. Man. I am. Clearly, we're getting close to lunchtime, but I don't want that to be the prevailing mindset when it comes to amphibious operations, and if you decide to just shit can the thing altogether.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have a challenge. We gotta make sure Marines are confident in the system, right?
Yeah.
And so that is, at least personally, that's my challenge as a program manager, is to make sure that we instill confidence that the vehicle that we are fielding is capable, sustainable, maintainable, and reliable. So that's our challenge. I think, anytime you field a new system, especially to a community like the assault amphibian community, who is very passionate about their machine, right? Like the AAV has been around for so long, it's defined multiple generations of Marines. And then just that capability, right? I mean, going all the way back to World War II. But if we just focus it at the AAV to the ACV, there have been some who are just not ready to accept and say, okay, we need to put the AAV to bed, right? We've done everything we can, and look, they need to find that program manager who started that program, because although they went through the same challenges we are now with the ACV, what a great program that the AAV has. I mean, it's served the Marine Corps for 50 years.
Yeah.
The only thing I know that's been around longer is maybe I know the 50 cal, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find any other, well, certainly major combat vehicle that's been around longer, right? So kudos to all the program managers and people who have worked that. But when you transition from, like, with such a stark transition from tracked analog to wheeled digital, there's just going to be some folks in the community who struggle to accept that, and even some who are retired to accept that, hey, it had a good run, but we need to move on.
Do a Viking funeral for this bad boy.
Right. So, look, and I came up in the AAV world. I loved it, and but realistically, we just can't keep her going as some people would like us to. And we got to move on to something more capable, which we have, right? And ACV is far more survivable, far more lethal. But again, just as when the AAV was introduced, there's going to be challenges, and we're going to work through it, right? And I mean,
this is an attribute, though, of the Marine Corps portfolio that we need to be holding on to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Regardless of what the vehicle type is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we need.
I know the Commandant said there's no service-defining capability, and I completely understand them. I think, though, if you were to ask most people, hey, what do you think Marines do? Like, give me your first visual of what Marines is. It might be. It's probably going to be, hey, Marines going ashore in LVTs, right? And then it might be followed up with Marines in Fallujah or something like that. But it's generally surrounded in assault amphibian capability is their first thought about Marines. And look, that's the definition of the a Marine, right?
Yeah,
that's our definition. So whatever it is, we have to hold on tight to that we can come from the sea.
Yep.
So we have right now something that comes from the sea, and that's the ACV. And so to your point, I think it is service defining. I think it defines who we are. It's imbued in our DNA. So whether it's an ACV, whether it's a canoe, I don't care. We have to maintain that ability to come from ship, go ashore, and conduct operations inland, and then go back and be able to keep doing that. Because the beauty of it is we can get back on ship, sail anywhere around the world, and that gives a lot of our adversaries pause. And the way we enable that is through an assault amphibian capability. Right?
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. I agree with you.
Seeing how the Commandant put sort of a deadline on having these capabilities again with Force Design 2030, from your position, do you see ourselves on maintaining the pace to fulfill what's needed for that, or are we trying to play catch up?
Yeah, so I don't think, and if I could correct you a little bit, I don't think Force Design, I don't think 2030 is a deadline. I think what he's come back out and said, hey, look, that's a milestone, right?
Fair.
That's a marker, right? I think, look.
As a taxpayer, I'd love for it to be a deadline.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fair enough. We should always be iterating, though, right? We should always be refining, because technology is going to change, and that technology will change the character of war. And we're seeing that right now in Ukraine, right? And so who would ever thought that the Ukrainians could stand up to Russia like they have, but based upon their innovative use of technology, whether it's UAVs, et cetera, they've been able to persist. So, where are we at with respect to really the delivery of that capability? I'll tell you, in the acquisition community, people are rowing hard. I mean, pushing hard, and I think there's been a lot of headway in delivering a lot of this capability. You look at Nemesis, that's being developed with Marine Corps Systems Command, their LRUSV system that's being the autonomous boat. You look at Gator Radar, which is grown. You look at medium-range intercept capability out of the PEO, which is a fantastic capability. I think we're on pace, if not ahead of the game. Now, obviously, everybody's going to want to go faster. And I'll tell you, the acquisition community is pushing hard on that to deliver, and I think we're meeting the mark. So.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
I like it.
I'm reassured.
Sounds like he's a program manager.
That's right.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, though, to come down and talk to us. Best of luck in your presentation at 1400.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get out there and cheer you on.
Yeah.
Or heckle.
Be the old guys from the Muppets in the back there.
That's right. No, look, it's just an update to everybody who wants to hear it about where we're at. I think you're going to hear a lot of what I just told you guys, right?
It's good stuff. So
you heard it here first, listeners.
That's right.
That's right. So, and again, that's the other beauty about this is people can come here and get updates on where we're at programmatically. Sometimes that's just hard to get.
Sure.
If you're not kind of plugged into the acquisition pipeline in the large, national capital region.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, sir, thanks again.
Absolutely.
Man. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Jake.
it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, William. I appreciate it.
Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. I am William Truding, but you've also heard the voices or contributions of Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Lichman, or Kai Frazier. The opinions expressed in this episode do not reflect the official stance of the Marine Corps, DoD, or Marine Corps Association.